emails every now and then, and
Okay.
this is good for right now where I am in this point. I actually have an interview on Friday.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Great. We're just gonna probably give it a
few minutes,
bit more
yeah.
time before people join us, yeah.
Sure.
But if not, Daniela, you'll be the only one. We can give you all the tips you want.
Is that a product manager interview, the one that you're gonna have?
Here, I'll put my camera down so you guys can see me too. So it's actually a portfolio manager interview. My work has been in the past in project management, and I am going to school now since I became unemployed earlier in the year. It's a networking security program that I'm in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
And this just happens to be a portfolio management position that I'll be interviewing for.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Welcome, everyone. We're just gonna wait a couple of minutes to see if we can get more people to join. Just give it about 5 minutes. If you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, you're more than welcome to. Hello, Sylvia. Hello, Jerry. Nice to have you here.
Gary from Chicago. That's awesome. I love when people from far away join. The best.
Hello, Maddie. Hello, Carlos. Welcome. We're just gonna wait a couple more minutes to have more people join. Sorry, I have a little cough. Okay, so if you guys are ready, we can start. If anyone comes in later, we are live streaming this event through YouTube, and you're gonna be able to see it afterwards. So if you come in late, don't worry, you'll be able to see it. We are for Geeks Academy. We are a coding bootcamp academy based in Miami. We also have locations in Spain, which is actually where Gonzalo is from, in Venezuela, Costa Rica, Chile. And today, we're gonna give you an event about how to rock an interview. We know that the interview process can be very stressful, especially nowadays where we have such a tough year, where most of us are looking for new jobs or trying to get a new career. And so we just want to give you a few tips on how you can be better and not be so stressed about it. We have two amazing speakers. We have Bridget Schraeder. She works at For Geeks Academy Miami, and then Gonzalo Fernandez from For Geeks Academy Spain. I'm going to give you guys so you can introduce yourself and start talking about the event.
Perfect. I guess I'll go ahead. My name is Bridget Schraeder. I am the head of partnerships and career support at Geeks Academy in Miami. We'll be discussing today all interview tips that you can get from us. This is more in relation to someone who's going in the IT field, but if you're here for those tips, they're great regardless. So I'm really glad for all of you to join us today.
Cool, and I'm Gonzalo. I have the same role here in Spain as a career support manager. I'm helping students get jobs at the bootcamp. Yeah, and I did a bootcamp myself, and I also manage like other bootcamps. So I think I can give you some good insights on how to prepare and how to prepare yourself to land a job in the tech field.
Yeah, also I wanted to give you guys a bit of a note. Right now I have good internet, which I'm really surprised about, but it's been kind of weird. So if I turn off my mic, it's not because I don't want to see your beautiful faces. It's because I don't have great internet connection. So just giving you a warning. So I'm going to go ahead and start. We've actually decided to break this down into 4 parts, from before until after you're done your interview. And we'll actually have audience questions at the end for you guys. So while we're going through it, if you can please just hold off on questions at the end. If you guys want to introduce yourself in the chat, please do so. I love to hear where you're from, what you're doing, and what you're struggling with. It really gives me good insight as to like what people are going through right now in the field. So yeah, I'm really glad you guys are here. So the first part is actually we're going to be starting with what to do before you interview. I know a lot of people just think, oh, okay, like, you know, build a resume, apply and go. But there's actually a couple of things that you can do in order to really prepare yourself as a coder before you go out into the field. So I'm actually going to show you guys a couple of resume examples that I have as well as the overall process that we do here at the Academy that's really helped people land jobs in the field. These are my personal tips that I want to share with you guys because I've seen them work, and I feel like it's like a foolproof method so far. Maybe, you know, it could have improvements and everything. There's always room for improvement. But the goal here today is to show you guys, you know, the steps that you should take or be taking when it comes to applying for work. So I'm actually going to share my screen here for a second, if you guys don't mind. So first things first is one of the things that I also want to show people, because a lot of the time in the work field, a lot of people get really freaked out because they always want to use a very professional like resume maker. And people always think like, oh, you have to, you know, buy or implement like the most expensive resume builder out there, and that's not necessarily true. There's actually quite a few out there that are free and they're of great use. So just give me 1 second, guys, because of my internet. I have to be a little slow, so I apologize. But anyways, that's basically a foolproof method. We just want to show you guys like what the easiest tools you guys can have for building a resume instead of, you know, just spending a bunch of money or even building it on Word document, which can be pretty tedious, especially if you're trying to go for a certain template or like a certain look. So I wanted to show you guys these this website that we use here at 4Geeks that I think is really great and can really be used for any type of job that you're looking for. For example, Daniela said she's going into sorry, I think you said project management, but portfolio. But either way, it's just a really great resume tool builder. So give me 1 second. I'll share my screen here. All right. So as you guys can see, so one of the first things I want to show you guys is obviously the resume builder. Why do I want to show you guys this? Is because, again, a lot of people kind of tend to use expensive or try to pay for resume builders when there's a ton of free content and free resume builders out there. This one I like to use specifically for people in the academy because when you're in here, you can really, really build a resume from scratch that's developed all for your profile. Okay, so I'm not a developer. I want to go into development. I think it's super cool. I think coding is super interesting. It gives people a lot of chances to be really creative and be really good with different things in the field. Because, you know, it doesn't, coding isn't just one pipeline. There's multiple pipelines that open once you go into the field. So this is just, you know, an example. When I'm building with the students, you're going to see this example, right? That this isn't the one that we want to go off of. The reason I wanted to show you guys more than anything is because of the way you can build resumes and everything on here. Whenever you're going through resume building too, I really like, especially as a recruiter, I like to see a really good clean layout. I like to see like sections really nice and organized. So not only can you, fill out your information here, your personal details, include more content. For example, let's say that you have like a certain certificate or something in the field that you want to include. That's a perfect way to do it. You can add it onto there, obviously. Put whatever you want. I'm just gonna go with Adobe because that's a certificate I have, for example, like in Photoshop. But this is a great resume builder for those that are looking to build a nice, clean layout and something nice. And this is something that I recommend to all of the students and the candidates that I have coming in through the academy, as well as outside recruiting opportunities that I've been involved in. And not just that, but you also have the design aspect of it. You can start with a clean template here, and you can customize it however you want. As a recruiter, I will tell you guys that most recruiters really do not like super loud, kind of crazy resumes. And so what I mean by that is, like, for example, if you guys are building a resume, I personally wouldn't want to see something like, well, they've kind of cleaned these up a little bit, which I really enjoy. Because it looks like they've updated, but something like this is not typical or they want to see in the field. They just kind of want to keep it very simple, very, how do I say it without it sounding kind of cheesy, but I guess like techie. They don't want it to be super bright or colorful because tech is very like one-dimensional, if that makes sense. So we want to keep your resume super, super professional. You just don't want to do a lot of color and stuff. So one of the things on your resumes that I see often, oh, sorry, I don't know why it's closing. One of the things that I see on resumes often is that people, first of all, they don't correctly name their resumes. So when they're sending it off to their possible hiring partner, the recruiter is going to look at it and say, okay, my resume, but whose resume is it? So it's really important for you guys to actually name it correctly. That's one of the things that I see the most common, is that people don't name it correctly. Another common mistake that I see is people not listing their phone number correctly or their contact information. That's just something that I've seen happen. And then when hiring partners call, they're always like, okay, I got this person's information, but their number is wrong. And it's a little bit of an embarrassment too, because if they're really trying to contact you and they keep calling and they keep getting the wrong number, they're just going to give up and they're not going to keep pursuing you unless they, by some chance, end up contacting you by email, which does happen. Then you're good to go. But it is always really important to keep that phone number in mind and a good email just in case they will contact you. Another thing with the emails too is that you guys want to have like a clean, concise email. You don't want to have something crazy like, I don't know, like one of the examples I always use is Ninja Mike, like ninjamike@gmail.com. You don't want to have something like that. You want to have something very professional and clean like mine here. Another thing that recruiters really, really like to see when it comes to your resume is having everything be concise and look very clean. So what I mean by that is you don't want to have like one type of font here and then another type of font here and then another type of font here. That is a common mistake I also see in resumes where people will try to articulate or stand out some of their points by using different font. That's not something that recruiters enjoy looking at. They really want something very, well put together. It all looks the same. It's the same theme. It has the same text, everything throughout. You're not kind of veering off one way or the other. You're really putting in all of the work that you should have on there. So I'm actually going to show you guys some resume examples as well of a completed resume. So that you guys can see like what the real big difference is between someone that hasn't, adapted their resume for the position they want to get versus someone who's only adapted it, versus someone who's adapted it for a professional position that they want to get. So what I mean by that is that there's two different kinds of resumes that recruiters will come across. There's going to be your years worth of experience person. The resume is going to have a lot of experience. It's going to be front and center. And that's the first thing that the recruiter is going to look like. And then you're going to have an entry-level developer who is not going to have all of the experience that he wants, but he's going to focus all of his attention on his project. So what I mean by that is, as you guys can see here in this example, I have most of the projects and the skills of this person just like front and center. Obviously it's me, but I actually don't have any of these skills. So it's just like a little example, you know, but that's kind of the purpose of this, is to make sure that your projects and your coding skills are front and center. There's actually someone with us today, Kevin, who I saw earlier. He is a recent graduate from Geeks Academy. He had a great resume. And if it's okay with you, Kevin, I'm actually going to show it because it's really good. Hold on. I got to pause this share for a second because I got a little messed up. But anyways, yes, another good, and I love that you pointed that out, Daniela. Yes, stay away from pictures. Pictures are a no-go. The reason why I say that is because, so this is kind of like an underlying recruiter kind of deal. It kind of leads to more not discrimination, because that's not the word I want to use. But it does tend to lead recruiters to choose different people based off of, you know, a photo. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys too is, as you've noticed, I don't have any personal information on here. In recruitment, they're really not looking for your marital status, your gender, or anything like that anymore. They're looking for you as a person. That kind of involvement is like so personal that to me, it's a little unprofessional to want to hire someone and just be like, oh, you don't have like this information listed. I think it's becoming very old school. That's why so many new recruiters like don't like to put their photo on there. So I agree with that a lot. But I wanted to show you guys the resume examples, of course, and then hopefully maybe I can show you guys Kevin's a little bit later because it's not pulling up right now. But he has a great resume for someone who recently left and got a job pretty quickly in the field. So as you guys can see, there are two resume examples that I have here. Someone with no experience and someone with experience. The key differences with these are the facts that they're really highlighting all of their projects in the non-experience side and putting all of their professional experience at the bottom. That reason being because we want them to solely focus on their projects and their skills. We're not trying to like get the recruiter to kind of, you know, take notice of this area. So this is the kind of resume structure that I really recommend to people when they're actually out applying in the field, especially for tech. And then in regards to someone with experience, like I said earlier, the whole goal is for you guys to be front and center with your professional experience. Obviously your projects too, because that'll come in handy, already enhancing the fact that you're a professional with this experience in the past. The projects just kind of give you like a boost, including your skills and your education. But that's the key differences that I kind of wanted you guys to see. And you're more than welcome to ask me for copies of these. I can send them to you, as well as the structuring method and the Flow CV website that I've been using. But those are really huge keys in terms of building a good resume. Another thing too, you don't want to have a bunch of things on your resume. As you guys can see, all three of these examples have all of their information on one page. It's not on multiple pages. Recruiters take between 10 and 15 seconds of a resume and reviewing them. So the goal is for you to have it so that they review them fast and they are satisfied with what they're looking at. They're not taking a whole lot of time. In development especially, recruiters really don't like to see a lot of fluff. They're not interested in fluff. They just want to see like who you are, what your projects are, and what you can bring to the table. When we begin to talk about LinkedIn a little bit later on, I can explain like why there's a difference there between this and the resume, why you can expand a little bit more on your professional experience on LinkedIn versus just a resume. But those are the tips that I highly recommend to people when it comes to building a resume. And I'm going to go ahead and let Gonzalo take over now.
Bridget, do you want to speak about LinkedIn before I go into the explaining more of the typical process in the tech field?
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's perfect. So one thing I will show you guys, honestly, when it comes to building a LinkedIn profile is hold on. I'm so sorry. My internet's being real slow. So let me pull this up. I apologize. Having a wee bit technical difficulties. Okay. So I'm actually gonna speak to you guys about LinkedIn because LinkedIn is so important. A lot of people, even like, you know, regular professionals, let's say they're not even involved in tech, I highly tell them, you should get a LinkedIn. Why should you get a LinkedIn, or why is LinkedIn so important? Well, first of all, here's the thing. LinkedIn really helps build up not only your network, but also you as a professional. So what does that mean? If you're extremely active on LinkedIn, and if you're really, really going through and adding people, posting articles, updating and creating a all-star profile, it'll really help. So one of the things that I want to talk about is actually creating an all-star profile, because a lot of people don't realize like how important it is to actually have one. And I'm actually gonna show you guys again Kevin his, because he's great. And he has a really good all-star profile for LinkedIn, and I'm actually gonna break it down to you guys and explain why his profile is an all-star profile, as well as what makes it easier for him to scope out positions in the field, and how it'll also make it a lot easier for you guys to scope positions out in the field. So I'm gonna share my screen again. 1 second. Okay, so in terms of Kevin's profile, the first thing that I want you guys to kind of take notice is the fact that he has his title as a full stack web developer, full stack software developer, or web developer, that's fine. And on top of that, there's a new feature in LinkedIn, and I think I'll be able to show it to you guys on my end. But basically now they're adapting it so people can be open to work. Once you put this on your profile picture, it kind of boosts it, and it gives you a chance of getting hired a lot quicker. You'll pop up on the algorithm a lot faster on LinkedIn. So that's one of the first things I wanted you guys to take notice of. The other thing I wanted you guys to take notice of when it comes to his profile is also his profile picture. A lot of people get scared and they think like, oh, why don't I, like, should I spend this much money on a professional photo, like all this stuff? And the truth is that not really. So what I mean by that is, okay, you can have a good profile photo on LinkedIn, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a super professional one. You just have to have something decent enough to get, to get interviews, and to also, and to also kind of like reflect who you are professionally on the network. A lot of people are always like, oh, but I have to get professional headshots done. No, you just kind of have to show people a decent picture, a decent view of who you are. The other thing too that I want you guys to take notice is that he has over 346 connections, sorry. And the reason why that's important is because the more people you add, the better. If you guys have over 500 people connected with you on LinkedIn, you will have so many opportunities to continue building and growing your network. Another thing that a lot of people do not know about this is that only 36% of people looking for work in the field actually use LinkedIn, which gives you a huge advantage in finding work. A lot of people think LinkedIn is just, like the social media of business, and it's really not. There are thousands and thousands of jobs on there posted daily. There are tons of positions out there and tons of really interesting people that you can connect with and open so many doors for you. So that's why I always push for people to use LinkedIn, because again, statistically speaking, you have such a greater advantage of finding work on here than other people, because again, only 36% of job seekers are active on LinkedIn. So it gives people a huge advantage when it comes to applying and using the website itself. Another thing about Kevin's profile being an all-star profile is his About Me. He talks about his experience in public health, retail, and education, and kind of merges it together, as well as talking about the different types of skills and the different types of methodologies that he really likes to use when it comes to his web building, as well as software development building. So this is a really great About Me. It reflects him as a person and what he enjoys doing. Now, in terms of like his featured, I like this a lot because it shows it shows his audience the type of accomplishments that he's able to do, such as his website and the Pet Finders one, which is actually a really cool little project. So these are his top 2 featured. Now, if you guys go down here, he has all of his experience. So this is where I was going to go into in terms of LinkedIn versus your resume. LinkedIn, is the place where you can expand and show people like who you really are. And this is exactly where you can put as much fluff as you want in your experience. You can talk about all the things that you did in the past versus only having the 3, because most people list their 3 most recent jobs on their resume, or they should really. You shouldn't list anything that hasn't been the 3 most recent jobs. And as you guys can see, he has his all the way back to 2012, which on a resume would be totally unnecessary. So here is where you can expand more on who you are as well as your personality. His education is listed, which is important. You always want to do that on LinkedIn. You want to list as much education as possible, because again, the algorithm really works off of that. And it also works off of how often you've included like software development and like software development words in your profile. So what does that mean is like the more you say like any of these words right here, the more chances you'll have of getting found through the algorithm. Now, let's say it's not for coding. Let's say you're trying to adapt your resume to something outside of coding, 100% okay, but you want to have as many keywords in there as possible that will lead the algorithm to finding you. So we keep scrolling down here. You guys see his licenses and certifications. As you guys can see here, they're all LinkedIn licenses. Why are these so cool? Because LinkedIn gives you guys courses that you can take and actually pass them, and you'll have a license for them. So what does that mean? I'm actually going to show you guys on my profile because you can't do it on his. When we're down here in terms of skills, and I haven't taken any, I really should. I just haven't had the time. As you guys can see here, you can take a skill quiz, and all of the skills that you have ever worked with, regardless of coding, like let's say you were pro with Adobe Photoshop, like I can do this one because I have a certificate in Adobe Photoshop, but I just want to get like LinkedIn certified as well. So that would be a good one. Or like AutoCAD, I've done AutoCAD too. So that would be another certificate that I can do. But the cool thing about this again is that you have every single skills from coding, every language from coding that you can think of on here that you can take and pass and show people like, I'm good at this. So then going back to Kevin's profile. As you guys can see down here, he has his skills and endorsements. He has volunteer experience, which you're more than welcome to put. Again, this is where you're expanding on who you are as a person. And then down here, this is where he has all of his skills and endorsements, including the tests that he's passed and all of the endorsements that he's had from other people. So these are past LinkedIn assessments. And then coming down here, he has all of his projects as well listed from coding, and he has his languages. So this is what I would consider an all-star profile because of all the things he has ongoing here. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about you guys as well during while in LinkedIn is the job placement and the job positions that you can easily scope out. LinkedIn is honestly my favorite because you can, again, only 35% of people use it. And on top of that, because if you type in, for example, full stack developer United States, there's 15,000 positions available. So this is a really, really great way to look for work and to scope out positions a lot faster. If you guys also put, like, let's say you're an entry-level developer, you just apply it here. You're going to see that you're going to get, and these have all just been posted, like, okay, let's see. In the past week, there's been 3,000 like new applications. So there's 3,000 new available positions that you guys can apply to. When it comes to applying for work, one of the things that I always suggest people doing too, whenever they're looking for it, regardless if it's LinkedIn, or let's go to Indeed.com because I really like Indeed. Let's say we're in Indeed. I always try to tell people to apply to positions that have recently been posted. If you see a position that's like over 30 days old, I wouldn't try applying to it. Why? Either the position is still up and they forgot to take it down. The position is so old that calling and applying, like they already hired someone, which often happens. And so that's where you want to try and avoid that, is you want to try and apply to places that have been posted recently, so you boost your chances of getting hired. So let's say you're looking for like a React developer in Miami, because this is like where we're located, so this is the scope that I'm always looking for. You can actually tell when it was posted. Actually can see that advanced job search. So you guys can actually do the advanced job search, which sometimes I do. I don't particularly like it on Indeed because it's a bit odd. You have to be very specific. But if you put experience level, like entry level here, you'll have the one job pop up. Now let's say we can put in JavaScript developer. Go to Miami, and you guys will see that there's 138 open positions for developer, and this was posted 5 days ago. So again, anything that's posted between 10 and 15 days, I say go for it. That's just my experience. Anything that's 30 days plus, I wouldn't do, because again, either they just forgot to take it down, like they've already done their hiring process and all that, which happens most of the time. So yeah, those are great ways to scope out positions in the field, as well as using LinkedIn, because there's so many on here. There's already 3,000 that have been posted in the past week, and even in 24 hours, 127 positions got posted. So this gives you a great idea of where to look and how easy to find positions out in the field. And yeah, that's basically all I have in terms of LinkedIn and the resume. And now I will pass it on over to Gonzalo.
Cool, Bridget. That was all excellently explained. I just want to add one thing about LinkedIn, and it's apart from all the jobs that are posted there, be active on LinkedIn. You can also follow people, follow companies, interact with people, interact with companies, and in that way, because at the end of the day, when you open LinkedIn, you're gonna have like your board. So whatever is going to appear you there is your connections, what they are sharing, what they are doing. So what you have to do is try to have the best board that you can. So you are going to be informed about technologies that you're learning, or companies that you're following, and in that way you're going to be the one applying the first. Because nowadays, like there are like many junior developers getting out to the market. So it's also good to be the first one, applying to the companies and showing interest in them and trying to stand out from the crowd. That being said, I'm gonna move on to explain you how I'm gonna move myself to explain how a typical interview works in the tech field. It would be nice to know if some of you guys are doing 4Geeks programs right now, or you just did a coding bootcamp and you are just looking for a job. It would be nice if someone can say in which spot or point are in their careers, if they're looking for a job right now, because in that way it can give me some insights of to whom I'm speaking to. No one?
Danielle,
Okay.
was there something specific maybe that you were looking for at all?
Yeah. I want to know if I'm speaking with people who just ended the bootcamp right now, or they are finishing the bootcamp, or they are like interviewing, so I can focus maybe more on some part of the process. But anyways, let's keep moving on. So how a coding process works normally. So the process normally works in 3 parts. Okay, so the first part is going to be the personal interview. The second part is going to be the technical interview, and normally the technical interview is going to be divided in 2 sides. Okay, the first one is going to be a project or a feature that you gotta develop at home, and they normally give you one week or so. Sometimes it's you can have it as many times as you want, as long as you inform the company. Okay. But sometimes they put you like a time limit or a deadline that you have to hand the feature. And the second part normally is the one where you have to go with them to explain your code and why you did things in that way, etc. So going to the first part, I'm going to try to be as concise as I can and give you my best tips. Okay. So the personal interview, this part can be you can use it for every interview, not only the tech field. Okay. And I'm sure you've heard this like many times. So there's no secret. So the thing that you gotta do to nail the personal interview is go prepare. Okay. If you go prepared to the interview, if you do your research, if you do your homework, you're gonna feel much more confident and relaxed. Okay. And that's if you don't get nervous, that's something good for an interview. Okay. And during the interview, you can have like, normally those personal interviews are made in 2 ways. They can be done first, you can have like an structured interview or an unstructured interview, okay? The structured interview is the one where they ask like the same questions to everyone, okay? They're gonna ask you about your CV, they're gonna ask you about your professional experience, that you should know your CV by heart, okay? You should know every thing that you've made, of course related to the job, but you should know it by heart and have an story to tell that connects, all the dots are connected, okay? But they can also be an unstructured interview where it's going to be more of an informal conversation. But even if it's an informal conversation, try to be as professional as you can and try to remember that you gotta convince the interviewer that you are the best for that opportunity. Okay. Some example of questions that might be asked if you are like a recent graduate from a bootcamp are questions like, why did you do 4 gigs? Why did you decide to change your life? Those are questions that I've been asked myself, and you gotta be prepared. So just prepare all the questions that you can guess that an interviewer can ask you, and try to have a clear answer. Okay, don't improvise on the interview. Just prepare everything. And some other questions could be, I don't know, why do you want to be a developer, or do you consider yourself a developer only after 9 weeks? And that's the point where you want to sell, where you have to sell yourself. You gotta, for example, say that, okay, in the last 9 weeks I learned all this stuff, and in the next 9 weeks I'm gonna learn even faster than what I did in the time before. Or they can ask you like, why should I hire you? Or why do you want to work for us? So in this regard, be prepared. Know things about the company, about the interviewer. You gotta do your research, and you can make like a lot of research. You can read like recent news about the companies, who's the competence, and all those things. If you go, everyone loves to be loved, no? To be interested in, and that's what you gotta show to the company, that you are interested in working with them.
Not to interrupt you or anything, Gonzalo, but I kind of want to back you up on this because it's so important. I think it's super important for you guys to research who you're going to be interviewing with. A lot of people don't. They end up going, and then they ask them, do you know what the company is about? They have no idea, and it looks really bad on them. So just always make sure you're prepared for that position.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be even embarrassing. So and there are like many things that you can research, like their clients, latest news, the tech stack they use, how they are, like, for example, which agile methodologies they use. And that's you can even connect with someone from the team. I did that and ask, hey, how is it working there? How was your technical interview? You can try to extract some information from people actually working there, and normally people share their information. So that's a good thing to do. Okay, you can even write the CEO. Try to be I don't know. Try to be you gotta stand out from many others. So you gotta try to be original in the way you approach the company. Okay. The next part of the personal interview would be the behavioral based or competency interview, and in this part, where they want to see is how do you behave, basically. So they're gonna ask you about your past experiences, or how did you act at a certain situation, or when you got a problem, and what you gotta, what as I said, what they want to see is how you perform and how you behave in the past, and how you bring results to the company. So in these kind of questions, there are books that you can read, and but the best way to prepare yourself is just have prepared the answers. Again, it's all about preparation. So what you gotta do is to prepare yourself, to have some clear argumentations. There are like some good tips that I can give you. Is like some tips for this is to try to be clear and try to be consistent with what you're saying. Try to keep focused. It's also really good when you use examples to show the interviewer your train of thought. So you can use an example of a past situation, and in that way you show the recruiter how you were thinking on the spot. Of course, try to fit on your answers like the values of the company, not only of the company but also of the job posting that you're applying to. And you know, sell yourself. That's super important. You gotta sell yourself. You gotta show up as many good skills about you related to the job post. Okay. Things not to do is you don't have to talk too fast or too much or too little. You just have to give like a clear answer. Try to be human. Don't be robotic. Try to be as human as you can, and don't say bad things about others. Okay, if you I don't know, if you've been refused from a previous job, just say that you that you are trying to change your job because you want to improve your opportunities, or you want to have like want to work like with different kind of people, or because you want to work in a company that's performing better. Okay. I don't know if there are any questions out there. No. Okay, so that's all more or less about the personal interview. I think I've said everything. Preparing is everything. Research. I'm gonna kind of sum up. Also be clear about what are your goals and motivations, and apply to companies strategically. Like if you don't like the company, what's the reason to apply to that company? You know, you can use it to practice. If you do that, like do it seriously, like don't play with the time of others. But you can even use interview with companies that you don't want to work there, just to practice. Know your CV, tell and pitch yourself, and understand your unique brand. You gotta, even on LinkedIn, you gotta create your unique brand, okay? If you're applying for a coding job, I'm sure that you have some previous experiences on your background, so you can also point that out, okay? And one last thing for the personal interview, always ask questions to the interviewer, okay? Even if you don't have any questions, you can say, oh, and how is it working there? Do you like working there? But it's better if you prepare some questions, because you know, interviewing is also it's a place where you gotta get to know the company values, and if the company also fit your requirements in terms of you know, what you want to do afterwards, and where you want to go, and how you want to develop your career. Okay. So those would be my recommendations for the personal interview. Moving on to the tech interview, which is where everyone is gonna get scary. It's like kind of a you're gonna feel like encountered feelings. You're gonna say, okay, I'm on the one side, I'm really happy because I've passed the first interview. Normally, this one, it can also be in the tech field. It can also be by phone. They just call you. They just want to know your expectations. What skills do you have, and if they like you, if they think that you have interest in the company, they're gonna move you to the tech field. And nowadays there are like many applicants, so this is where kind of they do the they make their selection process. No, they select the best ones, and then they move on with those ones to the next stage in person to keep knowing more about the guy. Some tips for the technical interview. Again, it's the same tip. It's practicing. If you finish a bootcamp, you gotta be kind of strict with yourself and it's a job. Finding a job is a job. So you gotta kind of distribute your time. So you keep coding on the one side because you gotta keep coding. You gotta keep doing projects and putting those projects and updating your CV and your LinkedIn. But at the same time, you gotta be applying. No, so you can divide your time. You can say, okay, I'm gonna be doing katas, like coding exercises in some websites. I'm gonna vary up with someone from the bootcamp and create a project. So that builds up my portfolio. And at the same time, you can 50% of the day you can use it to before prepare everything that you need, and then do qualified applications and quality applications. And as I was saying, practice is everything. Practice is the secret. So we at 4Geeks, we provide like mock interviews that you can do with us, with our senior teachers. But if you are not a 4Geeks student, or if you've made like another bootcamp, there are like some real good websites that you can use to practice interviews, and there are like different levels. If you want me, I can share some of them with you. Just give me a sec. I don't remember all the names. So for example, you can use to practice interviews. There are like some websites like Ramp. This is the one that I always recommend because it's free. So you can practice interviews with peers. You can get paired with other students, and you can practice with them and try to ace the interview. There's actually another one called Ace Interviews that is also free. And then there are like some other ones called Interview Cakes, Interviewing.io, or Exponent, where you can do anonymous interviews with senior staff. Even there are like some of those websites. You are interviewing with people from Facebook, from Google, and they are there because they want to help you. They want to help you move on and learn more things about software engineering or design patterns or things like that. Okay, so that would be my recommendation in that sense. Practice and keep practicing. And the other recommendation is prepare the typical questions, because once you're going to start doing interviews, the first one you're going to be super scared, you're going to freak out, you're going to be super nervous. I think Mattia is over there. He just did the bootcamp in Spain, and he just went through the first 2 phases, and then he just went to the technical interview, not in person because of the situation, but he did the third, like the technical review with the team. And he's been asked like many questions, like and even questions that he as a junior it's kind of impossible that he knows. But his answer was like, okay, now I don't know this question, but if you give me 5 minutes, I can research and I can find you an answer. And that was like probably the answer to give as a junior. Okay, because they are trying to see how you think, how's your logical thinking, how you react under pressure and under nerves. If you are in a real situation, how would you behave? If you would freak out and just go out of the office, or if you try to solve the problem by yourself as a coder, which is what we should do. And then if you are stuck, maybe move and ask a colleague. Okay. But Mattia was asked like many questions that he didn't know, and well, some of them he tried to put up an answer, but some others he was sincere and he just said, okay, this one I would have to research. But once you move on, you're gonna see that there are like some patterns and some type of questions that are being asked. And you can also go to some websites where you can find those answers. For example, there are like some articles that if you want, I can share with you. For example, this one. Oops. Just a sec. For example, I just shared a link where you got like, interview questions for software developers that they normally ask on interviews. There are also some other websites, like for example, if you are pursuing a JavaScript role, there's like also a really cool website called the GS Dude, where you can also find like a lot of JavaScript related questions. And there's also a GitHub repository that I'm going to share with you, because there are like tons and tons of questions from different languages, which is called Awesome Interviews. And you can also go there and find many good questions, questions that you can be asked. So again, prepare for those questions. And if you get a no in your first interview, what you gotta do is keep pushing and keep learning, and the next one is probably gonna go better, and at some point you're gonna get a job, and that's how it works in the tech field. Okay, so the important thing is not to lose, have confidence in yourself, and have believe that at the end you're gonna find something. So don't lose your hopes. I think that's kind of all. I just want to say that if you want to connect with me afterwards and ask me about all these resources or Bridget, we are more than welcome to help you and to connect with you and to provide you with whatever recommendations you need. We can help you out with whatever you want. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, let me know if you guys need help. I would love to connect with all of you. I don't mind helping any candidate that needs help. It's always important to help each other out. We'll now open the floor to some questions, if that's okay with you, Gonzalo. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Please let us both of us know, not just me, him too.
Yeah, to add to that, some examples of questions that I've been asked. So, for example, once they asked me, okay, tell me, and that was for a coding interview, and it's kind of more of a strategic consulting question. But they asked me, okay, first question of a job. This one was for a business development role. They asked me, okay, which is how many grades does the angle of 3:15 make? First question. And I was, okay, give me a pen. I gotta write that, and then I wrote it down, and I got the answer. But I was super nervous. So, okay, 3:15, and so those are the kind of questions that they want to see, how you react under pressure. Or for example, in a coding interview, they asked me some theoretical questions, and afterwards they told me, okay, can you tell me how many cars got a plate in Spain this last year? And I gotta think like, algorithmically, like, okay, you gotta have like a logical thinking and start saying, okay, in Spain maybe there are like this population, so maybe out of this population there's this number of people who is a family and who has, like, for example, like 2 kids. And so in a normal family with 2 kids, maybe there are like 1 or 2 cars, and then keep thinking. What they want to see is how do you think, and if you got a good a good logical reasoning. That's all what they want to see, and it's exactly the same when it comes to code. there's no like, there are like many ways to solve things out, and when you are a junior, it's not that important if you're not using like, you know, the more efficient one. That's something more for a senior one in terms of, you know, performance of your code. But when you are a junior, they just want to see that you can solve it out, and that your thinking is logical.
Actually, I'll just answer this question out loud, I guess. So Danielle was asking that she's been met by a recruiter and then they wouldn't tell her the name of the organization. So sometimes recruiters like myself will get third-party leads. Those are what they're called. Third-party leads are anonymous. Most of the time they're really confidential because the company doesn't want to like put the position out there and get bombarded with applicants. So they choose to filter out who they want to have apply by doing the third party. Sometimes I'll get leads and they'll only tell me like the position and that's it. They won't tell me the pay, they won't tell me the company, who's hired, nothing. And that's because they're trying to limit who can apply, basically. It's kind of a competition thing. So that's why they try to keep it anonymous. And also because as a recruiter, if I get those leads, I can pass them on to other recruiters and get, you know, and it just creates like a chain. And so that's why recruiters try to keep most of their leads confidential, because again, once you lose a lead or if you give that lead away, there's a high chance that another candidate from that recruiter is going to want to apply and get it. And that's the reason why it's done anonymously.
And because they want to, and sometimes also because they want to, I was in that situation when I was offered the same position by the recruiter and by the company directly. And yeah, normally like the traditional recruiters, they get a percentage of their salary during the, that depends on the company. But that's also why they don't want to tell you about the company, so that you don't jump over them and go directly to the company. Mm-hmm. They lose their share.
Another question is from Alex. How important do personal projects on resumes affect the interview progress? So I think it's really important for coders to have their projects, because again, it really just like boosts them as a developer and as an applicant. It will really reflect with the recruiter, like what they're looking at, and obviously will tell them like the kind of skills that you have. So that's why I feel like it's very important. But Gonzalo might be able to give you a better insight than I do. That's just been my experience, but there also could be something else that also really helps in terms of applying for work.
Yeah, Alex, I think it's all like projects on your resume. As Bridget said, you gotta put them first thing on top if you don't have that much experience, because the company or the recruiter, I'm sure if the recruiter is going to ask you this question, like, what are you working on right now? And if you're not coding, that's not good. So you gotta keep. You can say, okay, I'm doing caras, I'm learning that, I'm doing that code course. That's okay, but it's better if you, as I said, if you are doing that, but at the same time you're working on a project. So working on a project for me is essential, and putting that on top of your resume, it's also essential. One other thing that we didn't say is that one thing that's going to make you stand out from others, and not a lot of developers have, is to having a portfolio. Okay, so one of your projects could be, developing your own portfolio, because that's a website where you're gonna have, it's gonna be a static website, but you're gonna have there like your own website with your own. If you're applying for a front end job, for a front end job, you can there show up like all your knowledge, and there are like some really cool portfolios out there. So doing your portfolio is also something that is gonna make you get at the first positions when applying for a job, and that also shows like a lot of interest that you like coding and that you want to find a job.
We have one final question, and it's from Carlos. What happens if you have a lot of unrelated experience in another field? So that's something that I spoke about earlier in terms of your resume structuring. You definitely want to have your experience on there, but you want to have it more at the bottom so that it's like you're more of showing off your current skills and your current projects front and center, and you're kind of keeping your experience at the bottom. So if you want, Carlos, what I can do is I can send you the examples that I used earlier today, as well as the structuring method that I have, and that will really explain to you why I as a recruiter choose to have the candidates put their experience at the bottom versus in the middle. In the middle, we want the recruiter to solely focus on their projects, their skills, and what they've currently accomplished. If that's the answer you're looking for. Because again, the reason why you want to adapt your resume to the position you're applying to. So you never want to go and be like, okay, like all of my experiences in the healthcare field or anything like that. No, you just kind of want to keep it as is, and because those soft skills will really come in handy as an applicant.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say just only add like your most relevant experience and add experience, previous experience that add up value to the to that specific job. If you've been like a sales manager, put it because that's a relevant position. But don't put like all your sales experience because that's not. Okay, your background is on sales. That's good. That's something that you can bring into the company. But you should focus on the job that you're applying, and it's going to be more important a project that you're working on than that a lot of years of sales experience, which as I said, it's also important. Okay, and as Bridget said, is about those previous experiences gave you some skills, soft skills that are also relevant in the tech field. So try to put the soft skills that are relevant to the job that you're applying. I'm not sure if you're applying for a coding software developer job, but in this field, there are like some soft skills that are essential, like good communication, team management, how to manage a project. So if you can show that you already have that, that's something that you already come with to work in the company.
I just want to say thank you again for everyone joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. I love to help and give people tips. So I'm really glad you all were able to join us this afternoon. I put my LinkedIn as well as my email address in the chat. So if you guys would like to connect, please do so. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. And thank you again for joining Gonzalo. And I don't know if Gonzalo or Anna wanted to say anything. No? Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.